So one of our main focuses is this skills overview. So we have a concept of a unified profile, which entails everything from resumes to job descriptions to performance reviews. Pretty much anything that makes up a person gets added into a unified profile. And part of that profile gets turned into a skills list that then gets scored. Now, different skills get scored differently depending on how they're presented. So this one here, the product and project management that I have, got scored at a 7.5 because I mentioned it a couple of times on different resumes, a resume, a profile. I put different pieces of information in there about how I used it in different companies. So it starts pulling all of it out and scoring it on a 1 to 10. Others where I have only a score of 1, I mentioned it as a skill on a single resume, but didn't do much more than that. These operate on a evidence basis. The more information you give about a specific skill, the higher your score goes. In the future, we'll be limiting the scores so that you might only be able to get to a 5 or a 6 through presented evidence. You could get higher, like a 7 or an 8, by presenting educational certificates, coursework, things of that nature, taking tests, or get a 9 to 10 based on recommendations from other people, interviews where you did great, showed that you did, and they busted up saying that you really knew your stuff. So everything here is evidence-based, and we'll quote where that evidence is. This gets used for the job matching. So if I go down to our job matching, I can paste any job description that's out there. I'm going to grab one that I've got from LinkedIn, one of their top recommendations for me, hit analyze. Now that'll take a couple of minutes, so I will jump right to the version of that that's already been completed. And I scored a 74%. It's broken down into multiple areas for the functional ability to do this job, everything from technical skills to methodologies that we have in common, my previous experience in the same type of role, industry knowledge. So a bunch of different areas here. And as we go through this, it's broken out. Each of these will expand into more information on why you got this particular score and how to improve. Different things that I should be adding to my resume or my profile for this type of job. Most people have a tendency to go for the same types of jobs over and over again. If you've spent all of your training and employment history in a specific type of role geared toward, like myself, product management, I'm going to have a lot toward that. It's unlikely I'm about to change and become a truck driver, for instance. It's possible, in which case most of this will go away and I'll have a whole lot of things that I need to do in order to be a good truck driver. But for product, this is how I'll tend to go. And some of these, like the ITIL Foundation certification, would transfer to pretty much any of those jobs that use ITIL in product management. So it will detail skills that I need to improve or that I'm missing. It can do some basic market analysis on what I should be expecting from a compensation standpoint. That'll all expand out later. The strategic action plan are things that I can do in the next 1 to 7 days. Should be able to try and update my resume with some more information. Take about a week. In the short term, I can start my ITIL Foundation certification, take about 3 months. And in the long term, I can gain hands-on experience. I can do a few things. It should take me about 6 months to complete once I've started it. These are all things that help me get not necessarily this job, but jobs like this in the future. When I'm ready for them, I will have a leg up if I do all of these things. And it goes in deeper for like the military side, where it helps translate my military experience into civilian jobs so that I understand what I'm doing, how I should talk about them, since a lot of military personnel struggle with how to talk to civilian recruiters and managers. This helps them understand how to present themselves, how to change their language a little bit, how to explain things that they've done, all that kind of interesting information that would be useful on how do I get this job that I am a 74% match for. Now, this is one section. I mentioned that we're going to break all of these out. If I go to the professional and career opportunities, I can do this for straight jobs. I can run that analysis, but for the jobs hosted on LifeWork itself, we do a little bit more. So because we have more information, because we have both sides, this is a copy of that same job that I found on LinkedIn, but within our system. So fairly standard stuff over here, but then it starts breaking down the skills. So it pulled out skills the same way we looked at the skills from the profile for the individual user. It does the same thing for jobs, and it starts pulling out what are those skills, what levels are we requesting. That'll help recruiters, that'll help the manager that's building this, the job description. Are you actually asking for the things that you think you are? And it breaks down how important those different skills are. If I check the analysis on this, for skills itself, I'm actually a 78%. It's a little bit higher than the 74% overall match, but it starts getting into the more nitty-gritty on specific sections. So you can see I have a similar, here's the top 10 skills in a spider chart. This is where they compare versus what the job requests versus what I'm after, what I'm showing that I can do. And it talks about different strengths and gaps that I might need to fill. Now, if I download the PDF, I can go ahead and look at the PDF, and I can see something similar, but it also has an additional breakout on some of those skills. This happens to be all the skills that got listed, but it shows me exactly what my gaps are. This will get put into the main interface here soon, but just to give you a little bit more information there. Beyond that, if we look at the recruiter side, so I'll take a look at the vocational nurse. This is what recruiters see. So 4 people applied for this. Let me take a look. And here's my 4 candidates. I've got one that seems fairly high, at least compared to the competition. And when I look through, I get a brief overview on this particular candidate, their strengths, their gaps, but I also get this skill list. And you can see the job description asked for this LPN license, and the candidate didn't say that they had that, but they are a registered nurse, which is comparable. From patient care, we're trying to fill that with patient assessment. This goes beyond even a fuzzy keyword matching. This attempts to find secondary and tertiary skills that can take place of what was actually requested. And some of these things, the ACLS, that's actually a higher version of CPR. So you can see there's still a need for a skilled recruiter to come in and say, I know that ACLS is actually a higher level certification than the CPR certification. I might need to allow that, even though it wasn't directly requested, because it is a higher level. Or you can see where communication and empathy all comes through on the patient education side. You can see how it stacks up, and while they might not have the exact skill, this is how they might be able to demonstrate that same skill. Now, I can also review multiple candidates, and see how they stack up against each other. And these ones that have very low percentages, they have none of these skills. Here's their strengths and gaps. Same type of thing to get you into a better place of, if this is my entire candidate pool, and who should I actually go out and ask to interview with me? Probably this person here, candidate 3. I don't know the candidate's name, anything like that. This is all very privacy conscious. We're very transparent in what we're asking for as far as skills. You saw that even over here. We know what's being asked for at every step of the way. We can see how we can compare. But over here, we're also maintaining privacy. So I could reject this one, or very soon I could request information from them so that I can get their contact information, schedule for an interview, have a chat, that sort of thing. So that highlights some of the main areas, and leave it there. Thank you.